Washington Mutual. Just want to remind everybody that here on Public Exposure, we're very happy to have Dan and Eric Johnson, who are our expert financial advisors now with Ameriprise, and they're talking with us about WAMU. If you want to learn more about them, go to Johnson and Associates. We're going to put the website. It's right up there on the screen. If you want to just go to Ameriprise Advisors and search Dan's name or Eric's name, you will find them very, very easily. So there's an awful lot more about Washington Mutual that gave a lot to our culture. Are we ready to go to that video? Let's go to the video right now.
None of these commercials.
Morning, Al. Morning, Steve.
Let Washington Mutual make a fan out of you. Washington Mutual. Join the club.
That was from 1998. Join the club, hurry into Washington Mutual. And I think that people maybe were running into Washington Mutual by June of 2007 for other reasons. And actually, we're going to go to the timeline right now. Thank you, Dan, for helping with this. June 2007, Bear Stearns hedge fund collapses, and WAMU's at $31 a share. Wow, that's pretty exciting. $31 a share?
Relatively high, but even at that time, there was a period of years where both the managers, senior managers, Washington Mutual, as well as the investors and the customers expected a growing business. And to put in context that just a few months prior, the stock price was over $40 a share. So wow. There was not a sense of urgency, panic, but a concern and really focus on how to get the stock price back up.
And with a relationship-based financial advisors such as yourselves, you have to spend some time with your clients, right?
Correct.
So even though it's time-consuming, was that part of the business growing?
It was. What the bank was really focusing on was trying to bring planning-based advisors into the branches to work with the customers of the bank. And really, it didn't matter if it took a half an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. The model was that to spend the time necessary to really get to know the customer and to identify areas where the customer can benefit from. If it's an additional product of the bank, then of course the bank benefits. But that was really our business model and focus, was to spend as much time with the customers as necessary to find opportunities that benefit the customer and the business.
So Eric, is it fair to say that you guys were kind of like rock stars in WAMU financial planning?
Well, that might be calling it a little bit too much.
Let's go to January 2008. You're going to have to stick with us on the timeline. The Bank of America buys Countrywide. WAMU by that time is at $9.25 a share. What was the mood at that time inside WAMU when B of A bought Countrywide?
So when at this time when Countrywide got acquired, got bought by Bank of America, and
I mean, that was a scary time.
That was a scary time. And then around June of 2007, you also had a situation where the bank was being restructured, layoffs were being announced, and then the following month in July, you had an environment where with the run on IndyMac and then the following, failing of IndyMac, that was probably the worst time in the bank. And as far as the culture, it was kind of business as usual until then, and then it hit panic. Both the customers, employees, and shareholders, stockholders, were all panicking at that time, and you could really sense that things were changing.
Okay, so here you guys are where the relationships are the key thing that you're doing, and you have a close relationship from a business standpoint with your customers of WAMU. What were they saying? What were you telling them?
So at that time, it was interesting because both Eric and I and pretty much everybody in the bank branches were fielding one phone call after another. People were lined up waiting to talk to us, and they wanted information. They wanted to know what was going on, and of course we had maybe an inside perspective, but we didn't have inside information. So what we had was the facts that there seems to be a plan. Really, in financial world, it's all about emotion. When things are going good, emotions, everybody's happy and exuberant and willing to throw money into the bank or into the market. But when things are bad, everybody wants to pull it out. So it was kind of, our job was to manage those emotions, both on the retail bank deposit side as well as the investment side, was to manage the emotions of customers.
So the retail bank side of the business was coming to you and say, you know, help stabilize WAMU?
It was a unified effort to try to get a calming message to the customers.
Let's fast forward ahead about 6 weeks. March 2008, Bear Stearns collapses, Chase buys for $2 a share, and WAMU's down to $6 a share. How come Chase got Bear Stearns?
We don't have any inside information on that, but it became pretty clear that JPMorgan Chase has a very good relationship with Timothy Geithner and a good relationship with the Treasury Secretary.
Yeah, but Geithner was just a state guy at that time, right?
Well, actually, Geithner was the president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank.
Oh, so not just any state.
No, which made him the #2 guy in the Fed. And really, he's the #1 guy. He's the point man for Wall Street. And so most of the discussion with Wall Street between the Fed always went through Geithner, even back then.
But there were good things that were about to happen for WAMU. Let's go to April of 2008, and this is an article out of, I think, 2009, so that's wrong on there on the article. It's actually April the 8th of 2008. An article out of Market Watch. WAMU gets $7 billion from a group led by Texas Pacific, and here is the quote. This substantial new capital, along with other steps we're announcing today, will position us for a return to profitability. Says Kerry Killinger. With the support of these investors, we have every confidence in our ability to deal with today's market conditions and restore shareholder value. Again, April 2008, very significant. What was the mood at WAMU when that deal was done?
I'm going to put myself in the seat of Kerry Killinger for a second. He was faced with taking a 119-year-old bank and possibly just handing it over at $8 a share to JPMorgan Chase.
At that time?
At that time. JPMorgan Chase had offered $8 a share in April of 2000.
At the same time.
At the same time. It hadn't happened to coincide.
They were trying to get Bear Stearns and WAMU at the same time?
$8 a share was offered, and what the Kerry Killinger was faced with, I think, once again, I'm just putting myself in his chair, is that you have the responsibility to preserve the independence of a bank that's been around for 119 years. So, of course, you know, look for other financing options. TPG, Texas Pacific Group, offered an option of keeping the bank independent, and you can argue there might have been some strategic opportunity down the road by forming an alliance with something like a group like that. But you can second guess in hindsight. Obviously, it would have been a good deal to take the $8 a share, but you know, no one has the privilege. The reality of it is that I think the primary concern was preservation of the bank, the independence of the bank.
Okay, let's go.
Kerry also got to keep his job.
And Kerry kept his job. Let's go to June 19th of 2008. The plot starts to thicken. The WAMU Home Loan Group was restructured. That was done by primarily two people, Kerry Killinger and Jim Corcoran, the head of the retail banking group. And then WAMU, by that time, was at $4 a share. I suspect that there was some very nervous times inside and outside the bank.
As mentioned earlier, around that time was probably as bad as it got for both the stockholders, employees, and customers of the branch. Basically, I don't want to say quite panicked, but it went from business as usual to wondering what was going to happen.
Well, I tell you what, if I had bought shares at $31 a share in June of 2007 and in June of 2008, a 119-year-old institution that is in a lot of states was at $4 a share, I'd be thinking. But right now, we're going to take a break. We're talking with Dan and Eric Johnson, who are expert financial advisors. They are with Ameriprise now. The difference with them is that they are relationship-based